tournament qualifiers. This one is also very integral to us gamers, especially for a lot of us when we started to play a little bit more competitively. And firstly, of course, to join local tournaments. Then after that, there might be some regional tournaments. There might be even some grand tournament organized by the developers of the game, so on and so forth. And this is the part, right, where there usually is some sort of controversy going on.
Always.
Yeah, there's like
drama.
Basically, some sort of drama. People are just not happy with certain aspects of like how the tournaments are run, and I think when we were discussing about this topic, I think Wendy, you were also talking about like how in the cosplay scene, something like this does happen as well when drama happens at like the tournament scenes, right, or the competitive scenes.
Yeah, it's very common that as usual humans are very competitive, and so it can breed a lot of contempt in the community as well. I mean, yeah, in the cosplay scene, there's like you want to hear about it now, or
actually I did a little bit of research on this. Then after that, I realized, right, that the cosplay scene, right, can be broadly categorized into two camps. One is like the purist camp, which is you have to do everything by hand, like top to toe. You got to stitch everything. You got to do your own stuff. And then there's like
can you 3D print?
3D print, yes.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah.
Of course.
So the purist one can 3D print also.
Yeah, I think the spirit of it is that you execute stuff by hand and not just purchase it from somebody else or have someone else do it for you. I think that's like from what I understand now, the spirit of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Am I right in that categorization?
Yeah, well, in that regard, if you're talking black and white, then yeah, definitely there will be purists and there will be like people who are just in for chill, In that regard, yes, correct. They have to make their own 3D modeling, like you said, 3D printing. They model it from scratch themselves. Sew their own outfits. Some people take a lot of pride in that. And so there's like some things like competitions that people like to go to showcase their talent as well. Meanwhile, there's a recent resurgence of new cosplayers coming in. Like I've been in it for 10 years and I've seen many, many generations. And with time that comes on, like you can see people's culture around it has changed, where now people just relax, buy their own cosplays. And since shops nowadays like Taobao, Doki Doki, everything online, you can just buy and it's very high quality. You don't really have to think about being like DIY.
So the other group is just to buy their cosplay items and just cosplay in it.
Yeah, that's all. Like they are just pure hobbyists, just like me. I mean, you can consider me as that. Yeah.
And then there's like the controversy in the cosplay, the competition wherein you were saying maybe you'd like to elaborate a little bit more about.
About that. Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so from what I heard recently, it's not just in Singapore, but it happened a lot, maybe in America or other SEA countries. There is this organizing team or something. I don't want to pinpoint anything, of course. Drama free, guys. But like there's a cosplay competition where you have a panel of judges, and these judges are the same throughout every year. And it's for the same events where these judges allegedly are not very experienced in cosplay themselves. I wouldn't say all of them, maybe some of them from what I've heard. And so they came up to judge all these cosplayers who actually put in their own like DIY effort. Like I wouldn't call them purists just because they DIY. It's just they're very passionate. So they come up against those people who just like want to join for fun and buy their own cosplay and do minimal work on it. I mean, there's really nothing too wrong about all that, right? It's fair game. Like you can have the buyers and then you can have the DIY. But you know what I'm thinking? I think we should have like a separate category and like a separate like winning like judgment on like what people can get. Like for example, you should have the DIY ones on one side and you can have the buyer ones on one side. Maybe like a catwalk, that kind of thing instead.
Nice.
like the controversy like really just surrounds the fact that these buyers, some of them actually win like the competition versus people who actually put effort into.
Okay, I can see where the saltiness will come from.
Yeah. Like in regards to a lot of all this like tournament scene or competitive scene, when it comes to so-called categorization, right, is when people start to get really riled up one way or the other. Like the number of people that can qualify like a per category also is can be controversial. So the story that I often reference is when I was playing in the Warhammer Fantasy European Tournament Championship. So we had to go to Europe to compete, right? It was a team of 8. Singapore, no issue, right? We are a very small community. The number of players is very limited. So we generally can agree on like who are the top 8 that we can send over. But in places like, for example, the US, the United States, when they send their team over to Europe, so how the council, how they decide who is the 8 people who compete are the people who competed last year. So if you compete last year, the year before, then you get to select the 8 people.
Ah.
Oh.
So
I heard that.
this created a lot of issue in the US side when they are quite big. And then after that, so the initial thing was they wanted the East Coast and West Coast US. So like creating new categories, right? But then that's where the people who held on to the position last year, so they became a bit like, no way, hang on. We cultivated this European tournament scene from the start. You guys were not even interested. Now suddenly we made something happen already. Then now you want East Coast, West Coast. It's like, that I think like it's fair game in a way. Like everyone have their own opinions about things.
Yep.
Yeah, but then things get really hairy in terms of like qualifiers and tournaments and all these sort of things.
Yeah.
Do you have any like tournament stories that you can share with us, Johan?
I've never been to any really, really big overseas tournament, so never have to qualify for anything. I just pay and I go. So, but whenever there's tournament, right, there's always people who are salty in terms of whether they get selected or not as the team, especially team tournaments. Oh, it's like how come you select this guy and I'm not me? I'm definitely better than he is. Are you? Are you really?
I mean, for that, right? Like the who is better and all that. Sometimes it's also about other qualities, like how much of a sportsman you are. Sometimes it's not about how good of a player you are. Sometimes it's about how good of a because you are representing your country,
Yeah, you don't go there and you throw face, right? You have to go there. You have to be a good sportsman. If you go there with attitude to win at all costs and don't care about the image of the country, then I think that's wrong. Yeah.
I have a question.
Jisuri asks, what about those who buy and modify / create themselves? I think this is regarding the cosplay.
Regarding the cosplay, I mean, absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest. Like, the discourse is surrounding the fact that sometimes people who just don't put much modifications or effort into the cosplay can win as well, like multiple times by the same judges, the same outfit.
So mainly the issue is if you put in at least some amount of work to modify, I think people will just be like, okay, at least
there's nothing wrong.
You've done something.
Like, I have to be honest, like honestly, like really, it's a big community, right? People can do whatever they want. It's still cosplay. It's fun. It's games. And like you can not modify, you can just wear straight out from the back, and you'll still be okay. Honestly, yeah.
Yep. I mean, tournaments can be quite hairy, people they want to win something, right? They do it for honor, for glory, and then they will feel cheated if the victory was stolen from them because of one criteria or the other. I think there's also something to be said about what are the criteria necessary in order for you to compete or for you to win. And this is the part where things become a bit like
very grey.
Yeah, it's super grey and just difficult to manage, I would say.
Yeah, that's very true.
You're got anything else you want to add about this topic?
I mean, to add on, maybe I'm like curious, like does charisma count like in being a winner or something? Maybe
for the cosplay side, I don't know if that. But I mean, okay, you look at us gamers, we all sweaty, bulbous creatures, So, not all of us exudes charisma, I mean, how many charismatic gamers do you know, Johan?
Wow. I couldn't count, man. Not
There's a lot.
Not sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if Beybladers got like charismatic Beybladers. I don't know if that would.
I mean, do people cosplay to Beyblade?
Oh yes, they do to competitions as well.
Really?
Yeah, it's very cool as the
okay.
characters from
To be
the
honest,
show.
I went to Vivo City like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then there was I think it's a G2 tournament held there at the Toys R Us, and I saw this guy in full black combat armor, I would say,
Oh.
and then he has a black mask over his head.
Oh
My wife was asking me, "What? He's scared the Beyblade hit his face? Is it?"
no! Shout out to his style. Honestly, I've seen him around. He's very cool.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so he's been around.
Yeah, he has.
Meteor Storm mentions, I think really on the organizer side, also some of them just want to make money or advertise stuff. They use the tournament or tourney as a platform and not put effort into it. Actually, that's a very good point also, because the organizers themselves also must be knowledgeable, must be experts, right? At the very least, they have to know and understand the community, right? It cannot just be, oh, let's just try and leverage the community, like we are just trying to milk something from them and get something from them. Yeah, so that's also like a good point lah.
Yeah. So that one I can add a bit because I organize events, but I'm not very fluent with all game systems. So sometimes I need to engage in other people's expertise to TO the tournament for me. So that's
But that's effort put in.
Yeah.
Right. That's you trying to be like, okay, I want to understand the other side. I'm not doing this so that I just get people to pay and milk them for all their worth. I want people to have fun, to feel like they are entering a fair competition. Then therefore you put in the effort and say, hey, look, I need someone who is an expert.
Yes.
I bring them on board, and then after that we run the tournament that way.
Yeah, I think organizers doesn't have to be TO themselves. They can look into the expertise of other people to get them to TO for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.